and this is Patricia Swain for Trailsafe, Nevada. Is petition commissioned to address trapping issues related to domestic pets and feral animals within the congested area of Washoe County. The commission may deny the petition or accept the petition and put the matter on a future agenda. And just kind of so that people know what's going on, this is if the commission can either look at a petition and say, hey, we want to deal with this later, so we can go ahead and accept it and then work on it later, or we can just deny it and go on. So this is just the first step in a regulatory process. It's the first day. A lot of county advisory boards didn't comment on it, basically because they need to hear the petitioner speak, need to find out the information on it. This is just the first step. If it goes forward, it'll go forward, and we'll have other meetings on it. Okay, we have...
I was just going to mention that we explained the petition process and that it was different than the actual considering of a specific regulation.
Yeah, this under no circumstances would go forward into being regulation today. This is, should we consider this specific petition at this time? Okay, go ahead, please, ma'am.
Well, thank you for that clarification, although I might have questions about that later on. I'm not sure I completely understand what you said.
These are the guys over here.
But let me just go ahead with my remarks. I'm Patricia Swain, representing Trailsafe, Nevada, and I thank you for your time. And first of all, I would like to clarify any misunderstandings over what is basically a very simple, modest proposal. August 14th, we appeared before you. You advised us to include interest of several parties. We complied with your advice. We had a very productive meeting with representatives of Nevada Trappers Association, Washoe County Regional Animal Services, Nevada Department of Wildlife, and a private animal control company, plus 2 lawyers. The resulting language was endorsed by all present. County, state, or federal employees remain free to pursue their duties. It is not intended to interfere with those responding to pest control or depredation problems. True to his word, Mr. Blakesley endorsed the measure before the Washoe County Advisory Board Monday, November 29th. It is my understanding that Mr. Blakesley speaks for Nevada Trappers. No one else has come forth in the 9 months we have worked on this to claim otherwise, nor in the 3 years since our first petition. Nevertheless, 2 members of the advisory board would not recommend our proposal for reasons I will hereby address. 2 other members were in favor, and another member was absent. One claimed Trailsafe's website says that we aim to eliminate all trapping. I asked him where on the website he saw this. He replied that it is not so stated on the website, but this is his assumption. Here is the actual language on the wish list page of our website. There is no place for harmful traps anywhere in Reno, Sparks, or Washoe County congested areas. Note that this refers to congested areas, not the vastness of our state. It is only logical that open traps do not lurk where pets and children play. In any case, whatever is said on the website has no bearing on the measure before you today. I could preemptively assume anyone would do anything, but where is the proof? Someone claimed that there have been only 2 incidents of accidental trapping. Again, please visit the website. There you will see 4 pages of reported incidents. No official records are kept, but NDOW personnel estimate 100 such reports annually, many within congested areas. We do need this regulation because there is currently none protecting residential areas. If you approve our measure, it goes forth as a draft, which can will undergo numerous revisions before becoming Nevada Administrative Code. At that time, we are happy to listen to the concerns of other parties. Thus, the regulation is not yet set in stone, so I assume that is what you're referring to. There is tremendous public support for our measure. There was an hour of public comment in our favor before the advisory board August 9th. Trailsafe speaks only to this issue, not anything else on the agenda. What we are asking for is reasonable and it is limited in scope. If one cannot discharge a firearm near a home, one should not be able to set a trap. Most people walk their dogs in congested areas. Thus, many unintended trappings will be prevented to the benefit of all. Many in the wildlife community have praised the common sense and cooperative nature of this proposal and the procedures that we have followed. Because we have followed the advice of this commission and reached agreement with concerned parties, we feel well justified in asking for your approval today. Thank you in advance for your consideration of the pets, wildlife, and people of Washoe County. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see, first thing on this, we'll have it's an action item. We'll have commission questions. Do anybody have any questions for Ms. Swain? Mr. Pearl?
Yeah, I guess my question is, I would agree that, some of the information has come in kind of late, but it is pertinent to the issue at hand. I presume you folks have no opposition to the concerns that have been voiced by businesses, pest control businesses and others that have indicated that this would have...
We've had very productive discussion with them, although, as you say, this has come to our attention late in the process. And we have explained, just as was explained now, that this is a draft, that we're happy to listen to other concerned parties, that we believe the language can be tweaked, but we would prefer not to delay, go through another whole process with this commission. We would be very happy if you approved us to go forth.
Okay, I guess my point is, Mr. Chairman, that you understand what their concerns are, even though they came in late.
That's why I said in my remarks that we do not intend to interfere with those responding to pest control or depredation problems.
Because many people prefer to have it specifically in language when we go to the regulatory process to exempt state, federal, and local government on activities in which are lawful under their jurisdiction.
That's understood.
Or
Yeah.
such things as this.
That's understood, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Vogler?
Ma'am, some of the terms that are used, what's congested to you and is what's congested to someone else who's maybe raising livestock in proximity of a town, like out of Carson City or out of Gardnerville or some place like that, even though this is only the first step. When you define congestion, my closest neighbor is 16 miles away. If somebody moved in 10 miles away, that would be quite congested for me. So when you say congested, does that mean multifamily dwellings? Does that mean a house per acre, 10 houses per acre? So it is, so the vagary of that is
I
not
can
well.
take that. Washoe County has designated a certain area as
Yeah.
congested area, so that area is defined by Washoe County.
It's not defined by us. It's defined by Washoe County. We're referring strictly to Washoe County, and that is defined in county regulations. I don't have it with me, but in the county code, you will see all those areas clearly defined by their range and township.
And what happens when
And
all
we're
the-
not talking about the entire congested area. I didn't bring it up to the stand here with me, but I have the regulation, and you will see that it says, it says 1,000 yards from any residential property, inhabited
dwelling.
residential.
My next question is what do you define as a varmint? Is that somebody trapping gophers on the golf course, or?
Well, I don't define any of that. As far as the mousetrap question, which came up last time, you don't have to worry about that. That's not covered by this regulation. Anybody who wants to set a mousetrap can set a mousetrap.
What about a wood rat? You can't catch a wood rat in a mouse trap.
We're not talking about that. That's not going to be affected by this regulation. What we're talking about is trappers who have trapper's licenses.
If a trapper has a trapper's license, he has to set it according to state law, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And isn't there also leash laws?
I don't see
Well-
where that's relevant.
I've had dogs caught in traps, and I've taken them out of them, and some of them have lost toes, and some of them have not.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay, so how do you distinguish between a dog that has been let run loose off of a leash for days at a time and winds up in a trap versus somebody that takes care of his dog?
Well, the point is that we don't want any dog, regardless of what their owner does or does not do, to be caught in a trap that is unintended. Therefore, this regulation, which strictly affects Washoe County and strictly affects areas with higher population density, is designed to protect the pets and animals, because many people care about animals regardless of any other consideration.
All right, we have any further questions from the commission? Specifically, Mr. Trump?
I don't know about you, but it appears that, according to this newspaper article, we have a trend being set here. I discussed this with you the other day of how I felt about this. And in 2007, the newspaper says a group successfully, can everyone hear me? I have a tendency to talk too low. Okay. Anyway, in 2007, the group convinced wildlife commissioners to ban trapping within 1,000 feet of 7 popular hiking trails in a Reno Tahoe area. Ms. Swain, you've come back again with another proposition to go ahead and do more limiting of this time of trapping. And as I explained to the commissioner the other day, Commissioner Scott, that to me it's like a camel sticking its nose inside a tent. If you don't put a stop to it, for long the camel is inside the tent. And I know you mean well, ma'am, but I think we should either go ahead and put this petition on hold till somebody does more research and allows other individuals to come forward, or we go ahead and just say no to the petition.
All right.
I don't see any logic in that. In that, of course, you're entitled to your opinion, but we're not. When you hear what Mr. Blakesley has to say, and if you have read his letter to this commission, you will see that the trappers do not object. They are the ones who are representing that interest. They do not object. As a matter of fact, they would be very happy to have it known that they are less liable to be catching people's dogs and cats.
All right, now if we could limit us, remember, right now, we're asking questions. If anybody has comments, there will be appropriate time for that. Do we have any questions for the petitioners? What I'm trying to limit this to right now.
I have a comment, so I will.
Okay, we'll have time for comments. We should, looking for questions. And I think you expressed this earlier, just one brief comment, or question I should say, is the groups you worked with was the trapping organization and who else exactly?
All right. We had a meeting with the Nevada Trappers Association. 2 representatives were present. Washoe County Regional Animal Services, who will speak to you about their role in this.
Okay.
And they are happy with this agreement. Nevada Department of Wildlife, Mr. Bonamici, and several other people from the Department of Wildlife were there. They were happy with this agreement. A private animal control company was represented. Obviously, despite any letters you get, I don't know all the animal control companies in the world, and I can't contact them in advance. However, you will hear from a private interest today that they understand that this is a draft and that we are willing to tweak the language to make absolutely sure their interests are protected. And who else was there? 2 lawyers.
2 assorted lawyers, okay. Licensed practice in the state of Nevada?
I hope so.
We hope so. All right. Any further questions from the petitioner? And then we'll move on to public comment, and then we'll bring it back to commission. Question, Mr. Cavan.
2 questions. Does this affect private land that, or are we telling someone that owns 40 acres of private land that they can't trap on their private land?
Not with the, they would have to get a license. They'd have to get a trapper's license.
They do now.
Okay, it's just a question.
On that kind of trap, on the steel jaw traps, the body crushing traps, the snares, they would have to get a license. However, they can still take care of mice and so forth. That comes under a different category.
But if it's within 1,000 yards of their home, you're saying you couldn't do that on private land?
Yeah, and the trouble is, you see, what people have done is they have set traps on their private land with no fence, and animals have been trapped that were not intended to be trapped. Children can go by where these traps are set. Therefore, it is something that we need to regulate for the betterment of our pets and our children and our community.
And then the second question is, how did you come up with the 1,000 yards?
That was a compromise. We had initially wanted this to refer to the, and may I clarify that we're talking about firearm congested areas, which are specifically detailed in the County Code of Washoe County. And we wanted the entire firearm congested areas, and our point was, if you can't shoot a firearm, and there's somebody standing there behind the firearm who presumably knows what they're aiming at, Why would you say it's okay to just leave a trap there? This state allows 96 hours. Why would you just leave a trap sitting out there for 96 hours with no fence, no warning, no ID, and anything that comes by could be trapped? Who knows what? So that's initially what we wanted. However, in the spirit of compromise and cooperation, which prevailed at our meeting, we agreed to a smaller distance, which is, we still feel very fair, 1,000 yards from any inhabited residence.
Okay, further questions? Questions only, please. Question?
This might be more for our Attorney General. Doesn't Washoe, Sparks, Reno, do they have any laws that restrict what you can set traps, or there's no trapping laws within those areas either?
You know, I haven't researched that, but I don't think they do because it's controlled by the state.
I can tell you they don't, because we went before them initially. We saw it initially as a public safety issue. We thought logically that the Washoe County was responsible for public safety within the county. We went before them, and they sent us to you.
Do you have any restrictions, Richard?
Mr. Chairman, I'd invite Rob to come up. Our preference is to keep this within the state control, and the counties do not. We don't believe it's within their purview to regulate trapping. It's within the purview of this commission, so that's certainly our preference to do it that way.
Can't hear you.
Oh.
Please repeat.
All right, let me briefly summarize. It's within the purview of the state. And Mr. Bonamici was, perhaps he could be our first speaker if we're done with questions. If we're done with questions, then we'll move on, and we'll have public comment. And first one, maybe you could address that, Mr. Bonamici.
Thank you.
For the record, Rob Bonamici, Chief Game Warden. The trapping petition was a result of cooperation and a lot of discussion over meeting everybody's unique needs. I believe that was done. There are latecomers to the game. Their concerns, some of them are addressed through other regulations, such as those in the pest control business, commercial collection, that type of stuff. We have permits that we issue to them. So this doesn't affect them. With regards to wildlife control, there's permits, processes there. So some of that is already in place. If there's issues that haven't been addressed due to that the latecomers are interested in, that's always, can be done during the process. As far as Washoe County, county versus state, the state has jurisdiction over trapping, hunting, fishing. We are the ones designated in the state of Nevada as the stewards of those resources. So we're the ones with the jurisdiction. The counties don't have jurisdiction with regards to setting hunting seasons, trapping regulations, hunting regulations, fishing regulations. That's what we have, this body here, and that's what we're doing right now.
Okay. Excellent. Let's move on with public comment on this issue. And, it's just, we have limited 3 minutes. Do we have specific cards on this issue?
I'll call the cards I have, and seems like a lot of them have trapping, bears on the same card, and wolves, and so if I forget somebody, just stand up afterwards. But the first one I have is a Kara Sullivan.
Please come up to the podium. Maybe you can announce the next one so the next person will be ready once Kara is done speaking. Who's next? Followed by
Ray K. Fagan.
Will be next.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Next.
Hi, thank you for your time. I just wanted to comment. I'm here representing myself and I guess my dog, Abby. As people who hike around Nevada, I just really hate that I would have to worry that my dog would step in a trap. And I know that there was some comment saying oh, there was only 1 or 2 dogs that this happened to, or 1 or 2 animals. Well, what if it was 1 or 2 children that had their fingers in there? Would we be looking at this differently? I would really hope so. And I really hope it doesn't get to that point where a child does lose appendages before we start taking this matter seriously. I think what Ms. Swain has represented here today seems very fair, seems a very good compromise, and I would just urge you to vote in support of her. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Fagan, if I mispronounce the name, pardon me.
That's
And
correct.
next would be Lucy Tremena.
I hadn't really prepared to say anything, but I do want to stand up against inhumane trapping within, I'm for the Trailsafe proposal. My dad was a hunter, and I'm not against hunting, but I am against, and just the term inhumane trapping for children, dogs, pets, etc. We need to protect them within those limits, and that I just wanted to stand up and tell you how I felt.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is Lucy Tremena here? If I pronounce that right. And the next would be Fran Apparones.
Lucy Tremaine, resident of Washoe County. I'm here to express support of the Trailsafe proposition. Is this working?
Was.
Leave it on there.
Oh, okay. I'll stick it.
They're old-fashioned. Okay.
That's all right.
Don't touch the microphone.
Okay.
New rule.
Okay, here to support the Trailsafe proposition, and that's because of my Kelpie blend, Mary, who's such a superb herder athlete that she runs much faster and longer than I do. And so life would be miserable indeed if she had a millstone around her neck like me all the time. And so, living in the forests, when I got wind of this, it occurred to me that it wasn't just somebody else's concern, because I live in the area that trappers might want to come to for their targets. And I should point out that while I think I ought to have Mary off leash some time, be assured that there's no dereliction of duty, because she is, as much as possible, within my view. And if I don't see her, I'm calling her. And she's so smart, she responds to the whistle and to voice. And she comes back soon, and I'm pretty much aware of what she's doing. I try to. And so, she has such exercise needs that I think she should have a little freedom, very much supervised, as I said, and without running the risk of being injured. That would be a shame, because she's such a beautiful animal, so smart. So, although I know that trappers see this as a curtailment of their range, it seems to me a reasonable limitation in line with things like sidewalks, traffic lights, things that are linked to the growth of human habitation. And so, it seems to me a reasonable thing. The reason, just like not being able to tear around in our cars, we have to stop at traffic lights and so forth. And so the 1,000-foot limit, well, I can live with that. I realize I still have to be careful, but I think this would help in safeguarding Mary's well-being. So I hope you'll consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fran Apparones, followed by Doris May Weber.
Yes, hello. My name is Fran Apparones. I do have a law degree, but I'm not a lawyer. I would like to speak to the reasonable person standard that all lawyers are familiar with. There have been questions that were raised, a number of questions by Hank Vogler, which completely went right off track in terms of a reasonable person standard. If you're not familiar with that.
I said earlier, no personal attacks,
all right.
okay?
Okay,
So
I'm just
stick to the
responding.
issue and don't attack the person, okay?
Just responding to the questions, actually. I am in support of this petition because of all of the efforts that have gone into cooperation, compromise, and a totally reasonable person standard in terms of protection of any living being that could potentially accidentally escape from their home. It could be a dog, it could be a cat, even a toddler could run off by chance, and in a moment, something terrible could happen. We owe it to public safety to have this petition at least approved for going forward and looking at it and studying it further, and not just simply dismissing it. That would be against all conscience. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Doris May Weber, followed by Mark Hutchison.
Doris May Weber. I'm speaking for myself and for Swain for trapping. Gentlemen, I personally approve and support this petition, and I hope that all of you will join us who are interested in saving our animals, in saving the horrible suffering of wildlife that sits in a trap for 96 hours, and do something about this. My dog was caught in a trap in a picnic area at Galena Park. That was not 1,000 feet off the trail. It was horrifying and it was sad. And I think we need to do something about it now, not put this off any longer, but move forward. Because it's by moving forward we get things done, not by saying, let's wait for a while. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a Daryl Enos.
Followed by,
Are you Mark?
Yes.
Mark, and then Daryl Enos afterwards.
I'm Mark Hutchison. I'm owner of Critter Control here in Reno, Nevada. I'm wearing two hats today. I'm also speaking on behalf of National Wildlife Control Operators Association. Pretty much as a company owner, we are the largest nuisance wildlife company in the United States. We have 130 offices. We did $52 million in business last year. We are the 16th largest pest control company in the United States, and we were not informed or included in any of this language that's being proposed in this petition today, and we are against it. I'm also the state representative for National Wildlife Control Operators Association, and we are not included in any of this language in this petition today either. We hold licenses, our company does, from Department of Wildlife, Department of Ag, and the Department of Defense. The amendment language is not acceptable to us, and that's our stance on it today.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daryl Enos, followed by Louis Bergarello.
Good morning. My name is Daryl Ennis. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for Terminex International, which is the world's largest pest control company with revenues over $1 billion annually. We also were not contacted, nor did we find anything out about this petition until Wednesday night late. I also represent as I'm a member of the Nevada Pest Control Association, and that association neither was notified. For these reasons, I'm in favor of putting off this petition. I don't think the proper stakeholders have had their say. I know that these people, I'm sure, are well-intended, but I think the protection of cat and dogs can best be served only after consideration of the information and input from all interested parties. They made a statement they do not intend to interfere with pest control, but I can tell you that it very may will, and think that others should be brought to the table before further consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We have Louis Bergarello, followed by Nicole Nichols.
Yes, my name is Louis Bergarello. I reside at 7870 Kevin Circle in Reno, Washoe County. I have a trapper's license. I have never trapped for any commercial gain whatsoever. I have this trapper's license merely to protect my property. We have an extreme marmot issue. On a 2.5 acre piece of property, I may catch as many as 47 of these 16-inch burrowers, rats, in one summer. Now, the way this is worded, I have no disagreement with their idea at all. I can stand behind their theory. But this does not allow someone like me the ability to protect my property. They eat wiring. They have killed my trees. They burrow a hole 12 inches in diameter through any landscaping you have. They're a very destructive animal, and it is the only realistic way to control that animal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nicole Nichols, followed by Christine Schumberger. I'll get it.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Nichols, and I am the Community Programs Manager at Nevada Humane Society. I'm here this morning to officially represent Nevada Humane Society on this issue. I'd like to make an important distinction here. We are not affiliated with Humane Society of the United States. We are a separate, nonprofit, local organization supporting Washoe County. In addition, our 35,000 supporters, many of who are here today, are focused on and concerned about Washoe County. Many of our supporters, I'm not going to lie, would like us to go as far as seeking an outright ban of trapping. However, Nevada Humane Society believes that this proposal to restrict, not ban, the use of leg hold, body crushing, or snare traps only in congested areas is a reasonable and moderate way to address the serious threat to the safety of our pets and children. According to Humane Society of the United States, the national organization, 67% of animals trapped in these types of traps are unintended. The randomness of leg hold traps is troubling to a vast majority of citizens. Currently, 8 states, including Arizona, have trap banning legislation, and that is not what we're asking for. This proposal is one that animal welfare groups, many citizens, and Nevada Trappers Association agrees with and endorses. As such, Nevada Humane Society strongly recommends and encourages that you accept this proposal to restrict the use of traps in congested areas of Washoe County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Christine Schumberger, followed by Joe Blakesley.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Chris Schwamberger, member of Trailsafe. I'd like to kind of reorient your approach to this issue. Number one, we're just asking for you to accept the petition, which, with the draft language, to initiate a process of drafting a regulation to limit these traps in these congested areas. Any parties, any other problems that can be worked out in the workshop and public hearings that you have to follow. But I'd like to reorient the conversation a little bit on this issue. I think a lot of the discussion so far has been on trapping, the sport of trapping. And I submit to you that and how is this going to affect trapping? How does this affect trapping, and those kinds of issues? We're here to address this is a problem, an urban problem. And Mr. Shrum said that he had thought he'd seen a trend, and yes, it is a trend. It's an urban trend, that as there's more and more people on trails and more people in, again, these congested areas which are defined by county ordinance, and this is a firearm congested area defined by ordinance, yes, it is a trend that these traps are causing the public concern. The public is upset that they have these traps out there where their pets and children could potentially be caught. We started this whole issue in August when a cat was trapped, a cat and a skunk were trapped in Sparks. 4 months later, another cat was caught in a trap. And this is of great concern to the public. The Washoe County cab members can attest. We had a huge turnout. We had an hour of testimony. I believe you've all received emails. Commissioner Jung received emails. This resonated hugely with the public. This is not, and our intention is not to interfere with depredation or pest control. It essentially is a ban on commercial trapping. If a property owner has any kind of pest problem, they will be, the marmots, for example, they just need to get I believe Rob might be able to they can get a permit for no cost to handle any pest problems. This essentially is a commercial trapping ban for fur, not pest control. We've had an open, collaborative process with NDOW. Rob Bonamucci has been tremendous help. Mitch Snyder, Washoe County Animal Control, supports this, and I think he'll have some more information for you on events, trapping events. I would just close by this. You're a wildlife commission, and you must deal with wildlife issues, all wildlife issues. Not just, you're not an advocacy group for hunting and trapping. There's plenty of those in the audience.
Thank you.
The public has to come to you, and we're looking to you for a solution to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We had Joe Blakesley, followed by Ira Hansen.
Hey, please show respect to everybody. Agree with them or disagree. Appreciate it.
For the record, Joe Blakesley, Nevada Trappers Association. I'll speak to three parts briefly. Get a bit of history on what's happened, why we negotiated and how the negotiations went forward, and the concerns that I've heard recently and how they will probably be addressed. This started last March, and when a cat was caught, a feral cat was caught down by the river at Cottonwood Park. The newspapers picked it up, and it gained quite a bit of notoriety. Trailsafe and the Washoe Regional Animal Control decided to take it to the county commission. I made them aware that it was the purview of this board to deal with this and not the county commission. It's a state issue, not a county issue. So that's why we're here today, and this is where I would prefer to keep it. This isn't an attempt to quarantine this into a specific area and deal with it in that manner. I took it to my board of directors with the Trappers Association, and they agreed to go forward with this concept and allow me to move forward with it on that. Most of my board are in other counties, so they really don't have a dog in the fight, so to speak, but speak to the reasons why we would negotiate on this. Obviously, it's public relations, you know. As you can see, I've got a number of people that don't really like what I do. So it's my unenviable task to be the PR guy. I won't make any bones about that. The main reason that I'm for it is I think this petition not only sends a message to trappers to stay away from houses, but I think it sends a message to people that own pets to keep their animals on their property and not let them run loose. That's a card that I frankly want to have for the future. The main concerns that I've heard recently are the concern about the nuisance control and the mouse trapping and whatnot. We dealt with that in the meeting that we had in the negotiations. As far as people not being invited, I apologize to anybody that feels like they weren't invited. This has been going on for 8 months. It's been all over the newspapers. It's been not public notice twice. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your work on the issue.
We have Ira Hansen, followed by Mark Jensen.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Ira Hansen. I am an Assemblyman for District 32, but today I'm strictly representing myself. For 36 years, I've been a licensed trapper here in Nevada, in Washoe County specifically. There is absolutely no need for this petition. If you go to their website, like they recommended earlier, you will see that there are 2 instances in Washoe County, and that is, if you go and check their own website on it, that isn't me making something up. I actually contacted Rob Bonamici, asked for some hard data. He ignored it. I got a hold of Paul Dankowski. Paul indicated, who is a warden here, he said there's virtually no problem at all with this. So they're trying to make something up that does, to address a problem that doesn't even exist. This will also affect a huge section of Washoe County. If you look at the firearm congested area in southern Washoe County, it is a big, huge block of the state that will essentially be blocked off for trappers. This compromise idea, Joel is bringing up the idea of a compromise. What kind of a compromise is this? What are we getting as trappers in return? Nothing. This is a totally one-sided arrangement where they we give up everything, and they supposedly give us something back in return. As far as the Trailsafe and these groups being not anti-trapping, go to their website again. One of their recommendations, which they're going to pursue, I assume, after they get done with this one, is a 3-mile ban on every road and trail in Nevada on trapping. And if you look at their website, it's quite clear. They may pretend today that they're not anti-trapping, but they are 100%. Look who their links, their various links are. They are out to stop bobcat trapping and all trapping completely. So this is simply the nose under the tent concept. This affects only Washoe County. Washoe County, the Trappers Association representative, I talked to Mitch Bailey. He said he voted against it. The Washoe County Advisory Board voted it down. So as far as the effects of the trappers, we were not contacted. I've had zero contact from Mr. Blakesley. We get a monthly magazine. In it, there's supposed to be a column. For 4 months, we've had no column at all. The most recent one finally got something addressed, but nothing about this issue at all. I don't think most trappers in Washoe County even have a clue this is going on. And again, I think it was Mr. Bonamici brought up, I think this is actually a state issue. As I recall, there was a case in Sparks where some kid was trapping muskrats in the ditch running through the town and got in trouble for it, oversized trap or something. And the city council of Sparks tried to pass an ordinance to outlaw trapping, and they couldn't do it. They were told specifically, I think this is that same situation. This is not a wildlife management area. I don't know whether or not you have this jurisdiction. Again, I sit on the Natural Resources Committee in the legislature. And believe me, I'm still a politician. If I thought there was this big, huge outcry about trapping, and I'm very vocal about this, as most of you have known for a long time, there would be a lot more of a backlash than there is. Let them take it to the state. Let them take it to our things. There's a threat on that. Anyway, please reject this petition. It's not necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Assemblyman.
We got Mark Jensen, followed by Tom Wilson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I'm Mark Jensen. I'm the State Director for USDA APHIS Wildlife Services. I'm also the Administrator for the Division of Resource Protection for the Nevada Department of Agriculture. The commission heard my testimony August 14th. Again, at that time, I presented information that we were not contacted about this petition. I also stated that at that time, the petition does not give the proper exemptions to the employees of the Department of Agriculture, both on the state and federal side. Since that last meeting, I gave my card to the ladies. I was not contacted between now and when this petition was put out on the website. Again, I'll just say I've read this petition very clearly. I've read the definition of wildlife, read the definition of trapping, and again, as written, this petition does not give the proper exemptions to the state and federal employees of the Department of Agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Tom Wilson, followed by Elaine Carrick.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Tom Wilson. Many of you know me before. To the new members who have not met me before, I'm just recently stepped down as president of the Nevada Waterfowl Association and as member of the Washoe County Advisory Board. I became involved in this issue at request of the parties to help mediate the issue and try to draft some good language. And we've come a long way. And I've got to publicly thank and ask everybody to appreciate the hard work that both Joel and Trish have done in putting into this issue. These are natural, I don't want to say natural enemies, but they're natural opponents. But they came together to try to work out a deal, work out a compromise, and come up with some language that would work for everybody. And I really, really salute their professionalism and the way they did come together. We've resolved many issues, but the work's not done yet. This is only the very beginning. I want to bring the council back. This is just, should we accept the petition to take a look at whether or not traps ought to be allowed within the congested area of Washoe County? Gentlemen, this is a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer issue. It says, let's talk about it. Let's start the process. We've got more people who want to be involved into making sure we've got the right exceptions, making sure we got the right language. Perfect. Let's start the process, send it to the LCB, open up a workshop and get the language done so that everybody can have a public opportunity to address this issue. Now, other bodies, other political bodies might have jurisdiction over this issue. We all know this. I don't necessarily have to walk everybody through it. The worst thing that this body can do for the trappers, the worst thing that this body can do for many members of the audience here is to do nothing. If you do nothing, other political bodies may take the issue up and you're going to lose control of it. That's the simple politics of it, and I think everybody understands that. So I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not for it or against it. I worked as a neutral party between these people. I think it is a good start. There's more to do so that everybody is equally represented. Everybody has an opportunity to make sure that their special interest is protected. We protect the homeowners, we protect the private industry, we protect the department, we protect the government agencies. I do believe that there is common ground on this issue, and from a public issue, like I said, this one really is a no-brainer.
Thank you. We had one question.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah.
What position did the cab that you used to be the president of take with respect to this issue?
Specifically, the Washoe County Advisory Board, and I know there's members here, did not take a position on it. There were 4 members there. When the motion was to approve the petition, it failed because it was a vote of 2-2. Then there was a motion to deny the petition, and that failed as a vote of 2-2. So to be legally accurate, the Washoe County Advisory Board took no official action because it could not reach a majority vote on any issue.
Very good.
We have Elaine Carrick, followed by Lee Lawrence.
Good morning. My name is Elaine Carrick, and I am in favor of the proposal that's been worked out between Trailsafe and the Trappers Association. The 2 groups were asked to work together, and they came up with a solution in good faith and a compromise that they both can live with. It makes total sense to not allow trapping in the congested areas of Washoe County, just as shooting off of firearms is not allowed in these areas. And this proposal will help prevent other cats and dogs from being caught in the trap. It's only asking that the ban on trapping be within 1,000 yards from residences. And I'd like to point out that on the NDOW website, for 2006 and 2007, there wasn't one for this year, there were only 129 people with residential trapping licenses. Please consider the fact that there are tens of thousands of people who live in Washoe County, and there were 35,000 that was mentioned that are supporters of the Nevada Humane Society. So by starting this process of talking and compromising, there will be tens of thousands of people who will be positively affected by this preventing trapping in the congested areas. So I urge you to please approve this proposal and get the talking started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee Lawrence, followed by Bill Chamberlain.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Lee Lawrence. I'm representing Tony Lesperance, the Director of the Nevada Department of Agriculture. He was not able to make it here today due to the short notice of which he became aware of this issue. And I have a letter here that I'd like to read that was distributed early and should be in your information there. It says, Dear Chairman, Rain, and Commissioners, within the past 24 hours, the Nevada Department of Agriculture became aware of a petition by a previously unknown group identified as Trailsafe Nevada and their proposal to strictly limit trapping near occupied structures in Washoe County. The NDOA became aware of this issue only after it was contacted by a number of concerned pest control professionals who believe the proposal would seriously limit or ban accepted industry standards for the control of vertebrate pests such as skunks, raccoons, marmots, gophers, and a variety of other pests commonly found in the vicinity of occupied structures. If a vote is taken today, the record should show that the NDOA is not in favor of its passage. However, the NDOA would be in favor of postponing the matter until it and the industries it regulates have been given ample opportunities to thoroughly review and comment on it. Please excuse my absence. Due to such short notice, I am not able to provide comment in person. Respectfully, Tony Lesperance, Director, Nevada Department of Agriculture. As a side note, sitting here listening to the comments, I just had a question about, is there any data or statistics on the number of cats and dogs that are killed in the vicinity of these houses within 1,000 yards by predators? Driving in this morning, I noticed at my mailbox, I live on 10 acres out in Spanish Springs, another missing kitty poster on my mailbox, and it just seems really surprising to me. I hear coyotes every night around my house, and I wonder how many of these animals that we love and want to protect here today are actually being killed by these predators that are in close proximity to our houses. So that's a bit of information I'd be curious to know about in looking at any proposals regarding this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had one question from the commission for you, if you could. The question?
Mr. Lawrence, what can you explain or have? I don't know if when you talk to Mr. Lesperance, if you got a real understanding of what his position is, but does he understand that what we're dealing with is a petition to move forward? And I guess what my question to the Nevada Department of Agriculture is that what in approving the position would you need to do that you couldn't do as part of the regulatory process of actually, putting forth the regulation? What additional, leverage or, any kind of a process are you going to gain from the approval of the petition process as opposed to the approval of the regulation itself? Because to be quite honest, this goes to the issue of private property owners, USDA, any businesses that put forth their reasons for wanting to be a part of this process and saying that they weren't. What I'm trying to get my hands around is what is it as part of this petition process that you're going to gain by denying the petition that you are not going to get as being a participant in the regulatory process? Can you please?
Well, I think I can't say that anybody's for denying the petition at this point in time. We haven't had an opportunity to discuss this or be a part or included in any of these discussions. I regulate the pest control industry in Nevada. I license and regulate this industry, and this was kind of put into my plate to represent this here today. And I cannot give any answer to that because I haven't sat down with the groups, the director or an assigned group within the department in my division, sat down and discussed these things with these concerned parties. So, I mean, we're kind of here at an 11th hour notice, just basically stating the fact that we're not really informed as well as we think we should be on this matter.
Okay, and if I were to tell you that you would be able to deal with all of your issues as part of the regulatory process, would your answer change as to the approval of the petition? And if I will, if we can clarify and if we can have the DAG clarify, the regulatory process is rather rigorous, and it involves notice and it involves participation by any affected party. And so the bottom line is that there is going to be no reason why any interested party who wants to be a part of this process, especially the ones that are in this room, cannot be a part of that process and come up with the best language that deals with everybody's issue, but at the same time addresses the issue and allows this process to go forward. That's my question. Because what I'm hearing, and I haven't heard from any one of the parties, USDA, private property owners, or businesses, or even the USDA, a reason why this petition should not go forward.
All right. We need to go on public comment.
Okay, I guess my answer would be, I still can't find a comment for you because we haven't had a chance to examine this issue. Okay, that's basically where it's at for our agency. And as I say, I'm representing Mr. Lesperance here, and I can't speak really publicly for him beyond what I've been instructed to do here today.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public comment.
Bill Chamberlain, followed by Dr. Baker.
Yes, I'm Bill Chamberlain. I'm representing myself. You pretty much took all the thunder away from me. This is, in fact, a no-brainer. The whole issue is to go forth with this proposal as it is now. All the agencies and organizations and individuals who claim that they were not involved in this, I have had last-minute notice and that sort of stuff. There has been significant public awareness about this program. Public media attention has been tremendous. With that said, the proposal should go forth for that review process that Mike has talked about vehemently. I agree that we should go forth. I agree with the intent of the proposal and the conditions installed within it. If that violates any regulatory situations, I'm sure it can be tweaked in time. The process needs to go forth, and I strongly support that happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a Dr. Baker.
Dr. Baker.
It's almost afternoon, so good afternoon, gentlemen. My name is Dr. Stacy Baker, and I represent multiple veterinarians in the surrounding areas, and we see multiple cases of trapping inflicted wounds on people's pets. I can't remember the gentleman who was concerned about, he was a trapper. What does he get out of it? Well, there needs to be safe practices. There needs to be a compromise. There are multiple options available to us that don't involve trapping, that are humane, that are logical. We need to compile numbers. I worked all night as an emergency veterinarian, and I work again tonight, but multiple colleagues of mine do not have the ability to take off work and address you gentlemen and say, hey, we see horrible, life-altering injuries because of traps to pets and their people. I recently treated a guide dog for the blind who was caught in a trap. And it motivated me, after not sleeping, to drive down here from Tahoe and say, gentlemen, please, common sense. Fishermen fish. They leave fishing line, they leave fishing hooks. You all know this. There needs to be some better regulations and guidelines in place. I stand before you as a professional person, as a person with education, as a person who could provide you numbers, saying traps are not humane. They are not well regulated. They are not well placed. We need to find a way, especially up in Tahoe, of finding a balance between animals that may or may not be vermin. And I live on the edge of the forest. I have the so-called vermin encounters all the time. And I have a way of, with education and safe management, maintaining my cats and dogs without them being killed by coyotes. I'm kind of a smart aleck as a veterinarian, and I tell people, sir, I can't vaccinate your cat for cars or coyotes. But there are ways that we can help and that we people can coexist and be humane with, and I'm not going to beleaguer other points. That gentleman stood up here and said, I'm a trapper. What do we get out of this? Well, I'm sure it's your livelihood. I'm sure if someone calls you to remove unwanted vermin, it's your livelihood. How about being professional and having better methodology of removing these animals? A lot of the laws that we're working with were made in the early 1900s. There are so many different things today. We all know, all you gentlemen know, urban sprawl. This area isn't the same as it was 20 years ago. Urban sprawl is a consideration. In Tahoe, we want to promote ecotourism. Ecotourism is a consideration. Boy, when you see those people, okay, all I want to say is when you see some tourists, and there are plenty in Washoe County coming and say, hey, I went hiking and I saw a raccoon today. Oh my gosh, that's big. That's very big. So thank you. Sorry that I'm running over time. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you coming down.
Mr. Chairman, that's all of I have now. There might be some in this other stack on, they just said various subjects, so if there's anybody else.
All right, I see a couple hands up, a couple, three. Let's go, ma'am, and then Mr. Moldy and sir behind him afterwards. Looks like it.
Margaret Martini, Incline Village. I'm here representing a lot of parents from Incline Village whose children are growing up in Incline Village. And my children grew up in Incline Village, and they had the latitude to take the dog and just go. And, having a kid in the forest with his pet is not conducive to leash laws per se. And we have so much open space there. And luckily, my children never experienced the traumatic thing of seeing an animal caught in an open trap. I just believe that even if the kids were, astute enough to, look where they're going, there's still other issues there, that with the open trap being a horrible, horrible safety issue for urban towns. And the 67% from the Humane Society of these kind of traps are unintended. I was shocked at that statistic. And I want to say about the public outcry, with 8 states having trap banning legislation, that really constitutes a huge public outcry to the methodology, as this vet just said. So I urge you to prioritize, and this is what it's all about. Let's prioritize human protection with a side benefit of pet safety or commercial endeavors. And I think with all the regulations that we have for human safety in every business, that this human safety is not being addressed in this methodology of trapping. I've trapped squirrels myself. They do eat the insulation. You just get a trap, you put some peanut butter in it, and then you relocate it out in the forest. I mean, we drive up to the Tahoe Meadows with squirrels many times a year. It's humane, and it's their habitat. So I just want to urge you to consider looking at this petition from the human safety factor.
All right, we got 2 more public comment. No, okay. Okay, then we have another one over here, ma'am, after Mr. Moldy. Looks like we got.
Mr. Chairman, Commission members, Don Moldy, Reno, representing myself. Congratulations on such a large turnout today. I hope you're photographing it and appreciating the public interest you've generated. I always like following Ira Hansen. It's a little joke because I can usually answer one of his questions. What the trappers would gain from participating in this, as they have, and if you were to adopt this, is that they would gain a considerable amount of public goodwill, which is something at times they desperately need. But let me go beyond that. I support the petition. My part in this is that I attended the commission meeting, the county commission meeting a number of months ago. I did not speak publicly, but I spoke to Dave Humke, the chairman, privately. He asked me what my opinion was, and I said, well, I know from many years coming to these meetings that the fish and game people get touchy if somebody steps on their toes about something that they regard as a wildlife issue. And I told Dave that I thought that the commission should punt and send the thing down the road, because that's how the system is supposed to work. Well, they've done that. The groups have come together. There's been negotiation. A good product has been put together to start with. And I think that you should adopt it. If you don't, then what I'll tell Humke is that, from my point of view, there's no relief to be gained here by the public who are concerned about this issue. And I don't think it's a stretch to define this as a public safety issue as well as a wildlife management issue. And I think the county is every bit within its jurisdiction to create regulations regarding public safety issues. And that's the point that I would make to Humke. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And then I think that was it.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I came specifically about this issue. I did read an article in the Reno Gazette-Journal, and it mentioned Trailsafe, and I went to their website, and I was there far too long, but it did give me an excuse not to do house cleaning. And I saw more than 4 stories about companion animals who had the misfortune of being caught in these traps. I see this as a parameter issue. I do not see it as something that is going to have a large effect on those who trap for fur. And up until I came here today, I saw it as a fur industry issue on the other side. I don't know, as a citizen, I don't know of anything that you could call a humane trap. Unless it's a catch and release trap. There are many families out there today who have companion animals, and they consider them part of the family. Now, you know, I come from a farming community, and I didn't know people had pet chickens, but people even have pet chickens in this day and age. I'm not trying to take anyone's livelihood away from them. I just would like to see this petition considered on the basis of safety for the entire family. I will bring in any male relative of mine who is under the age of 5. I will have you turn your head to say hi to someone and turn back around and see that they are gone. That's how fast any child can disappear and wander off the trail, and perhaps, now it hasn't happened yet, but perhaps in the future be harmed by one of these. Someone did mention the possibility that many of these pets that have disappeared, that you see signs for, may have been drug off by coyotes or some other predatory animal.
10 seconds.
10 seconds, okay. I ask, how many of these companion animals have been kidnapped as bait dogs?
Oh, come on, this one. Bait dog. Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think we're clear. Okay, we had one more public comment back here, sir. And thank you very much.
Dog fighting.
For the record, my name is Mitch Schneider. I'm the manager of Washoe County Regional Animal Services. I don't think I filled out your card, so I hope you'll listen to me anyhow. I'll fill one out.
When you're done? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I won't take a lot of time here. It is a no-brainer. In the congested areas, designated, mapped out congested areas, we do need to limit this. On what level, to what extent, and what exceptions we need can be worked out in a workshop, as others have mentioned. There's more than one feral cat that's being caught in these traps. We see it, we don't document it. It's under a welfare code in our system, and so we can't isolate that out of the 3,000 others. It does happen far more often than we ever care to see it, as the veterinarian was able to explain her personal experience. The idea that we can stop animals that have 4 legs and a mind of their own from escaping from even the most responsible pet owners is unrealistic. I have spent 30 years trying to put myself out of work. It's just never going to happen. If you take the temperature of the public in general, you will find that, and I'm a gambling man, I play poker, I live in Nevada, I'm a true Nevadan. I will bet you my entire month's salary that if you took a poll of the citizens at large, 80% or more favor restricting the use of leg hold, conibear, snare type traps in the congested areas of this community. So I hope your vote will reflect the interests of the community as a whole and not just a small special interest. We can work out the details of the exceptions that are necessary for other regulatory agencies as well as pest control. There's no intent to try to stop that, and we would much prefer it be handled here than in another venue. All right. I thank you for your time. Any questions?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming up. All right, done with public comment on this issue.
County boards?
So, you have any county advisory board? I know we'd read a bunch of minutes. Anything wasn't in the minutes, sir? Come on up.
For the record, Paul Dixon, Clark County. Because of my travel agenda changes, I missed getting this Trailsafe thing on my agenda. I have 2 board members on my advisory board in in Clark County. One is Tracy Truman, who's the vice president of the Nevada Trappers Association, and the other one is John Sullivan. Both of them wrote me emails and wanted me just to express to this commission that they felt that they had open and honest dialogue with Patricia Swain and the Trailsafe group, and they felt strongly that this process should move forward and be basically put through the scrutiny of the litigative process of making this a law and have it vetted properly throughout the thing. But from the Nevada Trappers Association, Lisa Vice President Lovell and one of the trapping members, they felt that where they stood with this petition now was good to go forward with, and they supported it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Anything else that wasn't on the minutes? I read the minutes pretty well. Everybody get a chance to read the minutes from the advisory boards? All right. Seeing no more public comment, then we will close the public hearing and bring it back to the commission. Okay, we have Mr. Curl, followed by Mr. Lent.
I believe Carson Cab did take up the issue, and I didn't hear any report from them as to what their result was in considering this petition. But what concerns me is that the petition deals strictly with Washoe County. The NDOW and the Wildlife Commission are state agencies responsible for statewide regulatory processes. Ordinarily, in law, the only way that the legislature has been able to make it specific to a certain area is to do it by a population figure. In other words, this law applies only to counties that are either over 400,000 or under 400,000. This restricts it, as I understand it, to Washoe County. And I'm wondering, just from a practical legal standpoint, Mr. Stockton, can we deal with it where it is set as specifically Washoe County? That's the first question. The adjunct to it is that it is with respect to congested areas and firearm ban areas within that area. And I presume you have those in Clark County too. I'm not totally certain, but the question then becomes why should it be restricted to Washoe County if there are other counties that have congested areas and the like? It seems to me like it needs to be understood before we move forward exactly how this is going to impact, whether we can do it. And I guess let me stop there. I have other parts on this, but to ask Mr. Stockton what his opinion is.
Okay. The restriction on the legislature comes from the Nevada Constitution, which the legislature is not allowed to pass any local or special laws, and so that's the restriction on the legislature, and does apply to the state. However, in this case, Nevada Department of Wildlife is charged with managing wildlife, managing trapping, managing hunting, all those things, and they have statewide authority for that. And so there's authority to enforce those laws according to local conditions. So it's my opinion that the commission does have authority to do this regulation, to regulate wild or trapping basically in a specific area of the state. I mean, we do it with our hunt areas. We do it with a lot of different things. So it's my opinion that that's where the authority to do just this area comes from.
Again, because of within it deals within the congested areas and where there is a defined congested area. Since there is also apparently a defined congested area in Clark County, is there a problem with us saying specifically it's a problem only in Washoe County and not in Clark County?
Well, yes, because that's all that's before you right now.
Okay. Secondly, I commiserate with you, Louis. If yours are only 16 inches long, my brother John has some you could throw saddles on as far as marmots go. And that's only partially funny because they do a lot of damage. And The problem, and just to put it in perspective to you, that his 6-acre parcel sits right next to Wild Creek Golf Course. They range between Wild Creek Golf Course, which is county-owned, and his property and that. So you could have the dichotomy that says, if this isn't written correctly, that he couldn't trap, even if he had a residential trapping permit, he couldn't trap those marmots, but state NDOW or Washoe County services could do it. Also, muskrats are part of that same situation. He has a dam that dams up a reservoir in which those muskrats interdict that structure. If something were to happen to it, downstream people, I'm sure, wouldn't be very happy with what would happen next. I guess what my concern is that we all understand that whether or not we could do it, whether it is reasonable to restrict it to only one county in the state of Nevada, even though there are other counties that have restricted and congested areas. And that's a question that I think probably, if we advance to the regulatory process, that would need to be addressed, along with the other issues that have been brought up here today. That's my only comment.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lent?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This petition was brought to us a long time ago, and I recall that I told the proponents of the petition to get involved with all of the parties involved. And I'll tell you right now, the trappers aren't the only other party here. They're not the only other dog in the fight, and that's the only party they've got a hold of. And we've got a lot of other parties in this fight. And when we see a petition like this, and the petition says wording for the change you are proposing, this petition is not complete. There's no exceptions here for the other parties that we've heard today, and it's the same petition we heard 9 months ago. And if you look at the minutes of the commission, it says to contact all the parties involved, which she said she would, and we're hearing testimony today that all these other parties were not contacted, with the exception of the trappers. But they're not the only party here. And this is an incomplete petition, and I talked to many veterinarians too, also. And, you know, we had a veterinarian testify, and the veterinarians I talked to says they haven't heard of any, it's not a problem, you know. And I didn't hear any numbers from a veterinarian say we've had 500 caught in a trap.
Show respect for
I
everybody.
didn't hear any numbers. I just heard somebody say it's a problem. But I've talked to vets also. I tried to do some homework, and I was told the opposite. And I didn't see any numbers. No one's ever told me any numbers. And there's so many big issues that aren't resolved here because I don't think the proponents did their homework, and we don't have a complete petition here. And so I'm ready to make a motion when you're ready, but I'm not opposed to the concept of this. But I am opposed to this petition as written because they promised us it would come back and be complete. And this is totally incomplete petition here, and to work it out in a regulation form is not the way to do it. We should have the petition in a finished form with all the exceptions, all the parties putting input into it, and have a very valid petition here. We don't have it now, and I think it's an invalid petition for what we really want to do. And I would be willing to make a motion when you're ready.
I bet just a comment, and then we'll get over here to the side of the table. You know, there's some issues here that are very serious issues that have been identified, and I'd just like to kind of throw out a couple things on both sides of the issue. You know, I mean, human health and safety issues. There's human health and safety issues very clearly on both sides of the trapping issue. As was identified, you know, worried about pets. Well, if you restrict trapping, it might make it worse on your pets. You might not. The statistics and science on that, we would have to identify and really look at. You know, there's a lot believe me, when you're talking about small children, I understand. I've got 4 children, and 3 of them would be definitely in that category. You know, it's something to think about. Most of the commissioners have children themselves, and, you know, we understand. It's top on our minds in a lot of issues. Many of them have grandchildren as well. You know, the human health and safety, I've worried about weakening water storage, containment structures. I mean, you know, it's something that could really hurt us. It goes on all sides of the issue, whether it's caught in the trap or what the trap could potentially maybe prevent, maybe other methodologies, just a lot of things on this. And basically, I think we're looking at, there's a few ways of dealing with this for the commission here today. We can accept the petition and follow this with this Washoe County ordinance. We could not deny it and drop it. Or we could deny the petition and request that the policy committee agendize this general topic to identify scientific evidence available on this issue and identify the appropriate mitigation to deal with that, and whether or not it is an issue that is, like say, is specific to Washoe County area. That would be, you know, there's some options the commission has. I most certainly won't be making those motions. That's the commission's purview. I just process them. Mr. Vogler, followed by Mr. Cavan.
When it comes to public safety and public health and public issues, I wonder how many people in this room know that in the 1930s, when Wildlife Services was started, it's because we were having in this country an epidemic of rabies. The vectors, the carriers of rabies are the cute little raccoons. Are they a pest or a pet? Coyotes are always monitored for bubonic plague. Every year, I believe Wildlife Services does some cross-city, cross-state, cross-wide trapping to pick up these different fleas that carry these different diseases. So the rare occasion that somebody's unleashed dog may stumble into a trap, I feel very bad about that. My dog Rosie got in a trap, lived to be 17 years old, modified her life, but she still made it. Love her dearly. So I'm a pet owner too. When it comes to terminology, we talked about congestion. Well, then the next thing you know, the congestion got out of downtown Reno and got all the way to Lake Tahoe. So how far is congestion going to be when you take your dog over near somebody that has a trap line legally in the Rubies and your dog gets caught in a trap? They're very easy to release from a trap. You just take your coat off, you roll them up in a coat, and you step on either side of the trap. The traps are designed not to hurt anybody. If Mr. Jensen would like to go get a trap, I'll stick my hand in it. It doesn't hurt. It just snares. Doesn't matter. So, and who is a pest? We didn't define pest. This is so vague that, as Mr. Shrum mentioned, it is the camel's nose under the tent. And there are too many people that have the intent of stopping trapping throughout the state. And I believe if you're a good trapper, licensed trapper by the Nevada Department of Wildlife, I think you will do everything in your power to not catch somebody's pet, because there is obviously no market for dog fur that I know of. But, you know, until you can define this, what is a pest, what is public safety, what is congested area, the vagaries of this thing could just absolutely be devastating to the entire trapping community and to the protection of private property throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have Mr. Cavan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, let me applaud the efforts of Trailsafe and the Trappers Association and Mr. Wilson for getting this thing started. But I do think I didn't realize how complicated this was going to be. And I don't think anybody else did either. But one of the things, personally, I've never seen a map of this congested area, so at some point I'd like to be provided with that. But the way I see this, Chairman Rain, alluded to it, is if we accept the petition today, it goes to rulemaking, which means we send some language to the LCB, Legislative Council Bureau, as I understand it. And if we send language to LCB, that process is going to be really long-term. If we send it, bring it back, send it, bring it back, send it, bring it back. So I really think that this language should get worked out some more. I don't see any reason why Trailsafe and Mr. Wilson and the Trappers Association and the Department of Agriculture, Wildlife Services can't get together and continue to work this out. It sounds like that's what we want to do. The question is whether you want to do it in the open public forum and complicate the thing, or whether you want to get together in your informal meetings like you've had in the past and try and work this thing out. That's kind of the way I see this thing happening. I'd like to ask Mr. Wilson, how he feels about continuing maybe the process that has been going on behind the scenes and bringing us a better product with all of these things that have come up.
Go ahead and answer the question if you choose to. If you don't choose to, you don't need to.
Thank you, Mr. Cavan. For the record, Thomas Wilson, I served as mediator between the parties. I'm a neutral in this, and I'm happy to continue my role and to try to facilitate discussions. I can say that it's difficult. When I had the parties at my law firm, in my office, we had representatives there from as many people as I think we could at the time in the confines of my particular conference room. NDOW was there, Trappers Association was there, Trailsafe was there, Humane Society was there. There was a representative who was a private industry was there. Whether they had the authority to speak for everybody in their associations, I don't know. It might be easier to facilitate that public discussion in the form of a workshop through the commission than it would be in my law firm, in my law office. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but I also would think that members of the commission and members of the county advisory board and members of the private industry who want to work out the language and make sure that we're talking about environments and we're not talking about other issues, make sure that everybody gets their 2 cents worth in, so that the language is totally complete, so then we can send it to the LCB and get the right language. We can certainly do that. I think the biggest issue is to make sure that everybody has a chance to participate and everybody has a chance to make sure that their industry can still work, that we can still have a trapping of the marmots or trapping of mice or trapping of this or trapping of that. So I think the more public the forum, the easier it is to get that done so that everybody has participation. But to answer your question directly, would I be willing to continue my services? Of course I would. But that's up to, obviously, the parties.
Thank you very much. A couple things I'd missed too in my earlier comments was that, when this petition came before and it was withdrawn, we brought back again. I had asked Trailsafe to get with the Trapper Association and Wildlife Services, specifically the director, Mark Jensen, who was in the room at the time, and they did half of that. We got the trappers, much appreciate that, but I do. Farther I get into this, I clearly missed a few. Most notably, Department of Agriculture, Washoe County, and several other groups here, pest control agencies, and others. But it does need to be a unified proposal if we're going to have something that comes out, because there's a lot of stuff here. Just how we're going to get to that goal is the question here today.
I want to acknowledge Commissioner Cavan's comment. It makes sense, but I'd have to get some indication from the Trailsafe people that they would agree to it, because absent that, I'm still leaning towards approving this petition I'm not going to go into the details again, but the no-brainer comment by Mr. Wilson, and my discussion with the representative of the Department of Ag as to the regulatory process. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Wilson's comment on the workshop as being an alternative to getting all the parties together. And I also want to just say, the comment by Commissioner Schrum about the camel's nose under the tent. I don't know. It just doesn't seem. I have to disagree with it. I just disagree with it. We need to deal with this issue, and this is a very specific request, and I want everybody to understand from USDA, private property owners, that I will represent your interests, in that process vigorously. But I want to end this with, a general comment that, and as a sportsman's rep on this commission, that we as sportsmen need to be very sensitive to the interests of the public. We need to understand our sport in the context of, the way the rest of society, believe, have their beliefs, and we need to be very careful about how we proceed on issues that affect the public, and I just think that we'll be making a huge mistake if we send this group, Trailsafe, out to its alternative remedies, because, in my opinion, this is not going away, and they are going to pursue this vigorously, and we're going to lose control of it. And so I would much rather have control of this. And so, again, if the two groups can get together and follow Mr. Cavan's, Commissioner Cavan's comment position, I would support that. But in the absence of that agreement, then I would approve this petition, and we will work everything out. And I really like the idea of the workshop as the mechanism to do it. And that way, everybody gets their input. We're not going to leave anybody out. We'll make sure everybody's interests are dealt with, and we deal with this issue, because that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody else in the commission have comments on this?
Could we hear from Trailsafe possibly?
What would we like to hear?
Whether they want to, if they would be willing to withdraw the petition and come back with better language, address some of these issues, and
if you would like, you may answer that, and then we'll move on with Commissioner Lemp.
Commissioner Cavan, I very much appreciate your creativity. I very much appreciate the comments of everyone. And of course, obviously, my desire is to move forward as much as we can. We've been working on this for 9 months already. We did make very significant changes in the language between the first meeting and the second meeting. It's my desire, of course, to save the measure. If what you're suggesting, if a workshop will save the measure, that's good. Of course, we want you to approve, and we want to work this out further down the road, because we don't want to keep coming back and getting stalled again and again and again. I really don't think that's fair to us or the public that you have heard from. Therefore, we'll do what we have to do to keep it alive, but we would prefer that it be approved today and we can move forward.
I guess the secondary question to that is, if it is not approved, I would not, if I were you, I would not close the door on going ahead and pursuing this option of coming back with getting the groups together, coming back with another petition.
Well, but how much do you want to beat your head on a stone wall? I mean...
Well, I understand that, but I've also been involved in wildlife for close to 40 years, and 9 months is a short is a short stint to try and get something through one of these bodies. I mean, I know it seems like a long time to you, but these things get batted around this commission for a long time, and so because we have this got significantly more complicated today.
It sure did, and I'm getting older, so I don't know, how much time. So I definitely, my first choice, there's no doubt about it, is for you to go ahead, let us go forward. You know that we're going to operate, and you know that we're going to have the workshop down the road, and that all involved parties will be notified, can be there. And basically, the intent of it is very simple. It is not as complex as I hear people making it. It's not going to make a radical change in people's lives. The trappers will be happier, the public will be happier, and I don't see where this is going to make such a dramatic change in anyone's life or do really harm anyone's interest or anyone. I think that it is a modest, restricted proposal, very specific. But yes, we'll cooperate with whatever we can to keep it alive, of course.
Thank you very much. Mr. Linton and Mr. Capurro had.
I was ready to make a motion.
Okay, do you have something before?
Yeah, before he makes a motion, is it possible that we would not accept the petition today, but that the commission refer the issue of congested area trapping to your policy regulatory, or it's going to have to go there anyway, Administrative Procedures, Regulations, and Policy Committee to workshop the potential for this type of regulation and come up with some language without accepting the petition? Would that be
It's entirely
practical
possible.
solution?
It's entirely possible. And one thing before we get into the motion issue of it, regardless what comes out here today, I'd like to request that Mr. Blakely and other leaders in the leaders in trapping throughout the state of Nevada, and I'm sure you're doing it now, but do as best you can on education of trappers around these areas. I'm sure that's top on your priority list, but regardless, that's a today solution. Anything else we do here will be a tomorrow solution. So we had a motion.
Mr. Chairman, preface my motion, and I want to tell everyone in the public out there, I'm not opposed to the concept. I believe in the concept. I am opposed to this petition as written, because this petition as written does not cross the T's and dot the I's. I will not vote for anything that the Department of Agriculture comes up here and says they haven't had time to work with it, and it might function, it might improve, or it might mess with their operation. Wildlife Services said the same thing, and I will not vote for anything that's going to be offensive to Wildlife Services. And there's no exceptions in this petition, and this petition should be complete with the exceptions, and we have 2 sentences all. So I really feel that this is a valid concept, but the petition is wrong. It's got to be more precise. And if you want, I'm going to make a motion to deny the petition, and then if somebody wants to make a motion to send to a committee, they can do the secondary motion. But my motion is to deny the petition as written.
You need a second on that?
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. It had some good discussion there. It's now been properly moved and seconded to deny the petition as currently written. Does everybody understand the motion? Any further motion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by stating no.
No.
All right, let's do a vote by hands. In favor of the motion, we have Commissioner Lent, Shrum, Vogler, Capurro.
Don't forget Charlie.
Charlotte, and Mr. Howell, excuse me. Okay, opposed, we have Commissioner Macbeth, Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner Cavan. So that motion passes 5-3. And we have another motion on the subject. Okay, Mr. Pearl.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that the issue of congested area, firearm ban area, trapping be referred to your committee on administrative procedures, regulations, and policy to workshop and further the discussion of the issues that were brought up today.
Second.
Okay, does everybody understand the motion? Okay, if everybody understood it, comment.
And for the public, as chairman of that committee, I feel strongly that this is a good proposal, but I want to work it out and make sure the Department of Ag and Wildlife Services, we all agree, and the private industry out there, I think there's a state law that says we cannot pass a regulation if it has an effect on state commerce or any business, small businesses. So we've got to look at that and make sure they're in the game too, that we're not doing anything offensive to the businesses of the state. And you heard some testimony on that, and I really believe in the concept, and I think we can work out a lot better petition to bring back to the department, and a more concise one that has exceptions in it and whatever we need. And I think through the committee process and public input, and if everyone would keep notice of the committee meeting, I agree to this concept to work it out in a committee, and I totally agree with the motion that was just made.
Okay, we had a motion, was it seconded? Okay, made by Commissioner Pearl, seconded by
Mr. Cavan.
by Mr. Cavan. Okay, I looking at both sides.
Third by Charlie.
Third by Charlie, fourth, okay. Second is, we're good. Everybody understand the motion? Further comment? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion to put this off to the committee signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And public members, I'd like to request, if you know of any interested parties or an interested party yourself, if you could request from the executive secretary that you put on the email list for this item, and that way, that email list, you'll get sent out those emails, and you'll be a part of this process that goes forward. And if, like I say, if you know anybody, the governmental agencies that should be involved, please get them to submit their email address to this specific deal. All right, seeing that, further motions on this issue, ready? Looks like we are ready for a few-minute break. Commissioner Cavan was very ready.